Hello everyone, this is your host Vaibhav. I welcome all of you to today's session of Daily Stock, in which we are going to take a look on the financials of the Microsoft, which released its second quarter earnings on the 30th of January. The earnings are pretty good. The revenues are up, the net profit is up. Whether you look at it from the quarter on quarter perspective or the year on year, the things are looking up, the financials are up, but the stock is down, and that is where lies the question: what is happening here? If we consider the stock price performance overall, not just after the release of the quarterly report, you will get the idea of what is the backstory to this drop which we are seeing in the shares of the Microsoft, which have otherwise rallied pretty well for last couple of months, and it is just off its all-time high, the record high of around 420. I'm not being precise here. And if we have to now take a fresh look on the prospects of the stock price for the Microsoft for coming days and decide on our investment and trading strategy, we will have to take a comprehensive account of the developments in recent times. We will have to consider the fundamental factors as well as the technical probabilistic possibilities to get the hang of these developments and then plan our response accordingly. If we see this Microsoft homepage, now it is all about the Copilot, which is the newly launched AI companion for your day-to-day use. Even myself, I am a pretty regular user of this new feature. But if we have to consider the monetization and whether this hype is living up to its potential in terms of bringing in the revenues, bringing in the money for the Microsoft. I think that's some distance away. We will have to wait for it to materialize in a full potential because these are too early days, and though there has been hype, the use cases and the revenue models are going to be built only in coming quarters, coming months, and that is going to take time. Otherwise, the scenario, the prospects for the Microsoft are quite on the sunny side, and in this challenging environment, the magnificent seven stocks, particularly the tech stocks, have done well for last year. And I think though we are not really likely to see the gains which materialized in the 2023 are going to be repeated in 2024, that is hardly likely, but still this can be a good year, and we will see how the things are stacking up at the start of this new year, new month. Let us now go to the earnings report. This is Form 10Q submitted to the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, by the Microsoft, and in it you will get the financials of the company and also the forward guidance for the upcoming quarter. We will consider the consolidated income statement. This is the revenue. The revenue was up at $62 billion for the quarter ended December 31st, which is up if we compare it to the same quarter of 2022. There is almost the growth of 18 to 20% in terms of the revenue. The margin has been good as the cost of revenue were kept in check, and as a result of that, the Microsoft has enjoyed quite good operating margin, and the net income, which is just little shy of $22 billion, is quite solid with this impressive growth of around 30 percentage point being seen in year on year if we compare. it to the second quarter of 2023's earnings a year back. So in year-on-year terms, the net income is up around 30 percentage point, whereas the revenue is up around 20 percentage point. That points to the improvement of the margin for the Microsoft. That means the operating margin is and has gotten better. So that is a brighter side for the Microsoft. And the company has also completed its acquisition of the gaming company Activision Blizzard, and that has changed the pecking order of the revenues being generated by the Microsoft. Now the gaming division is bringing in more revenues than the Windows, but in terms of the profit, of course, the Windows is still a lot more profitable in comparison to the gaming side. But that aside, the profitability is quite good overall, and the different segments like cloud, the Microsoft Office suite, and the related offerings by the Microsoft have been performing quite well in the recent quarter, and we will also see the AI pick up in coming quarters. Maybe it will take some time, but that is going to be a big revenue contributor in coming years, if not just in a couple of quarters. Maybe it will take time, but I think the Microsoft and the whole world at large is quite confident of successful co-adoption of the AI in existing products and also development of new use cases. So in course of time, the AI is going to be a big revenue and profit generator for the company. Let us look at the cash flow. The cash flow points to the healthy cash position of the company, with net cash being generated by the operations standing at around $19 billion. But if you look at the total cash flow, you will see that there has been actual decline in the cash position because a lot of money has been spent on the completion of the Activision Blizzard acquisition, and that is why you are seeing that the cash used in investing is humongous, with $72 billion being the total spend, and of that, of around 65 billion US dollars have gone for the acquisition, whereas other $10 billion, near about $10 billion, have been spent for the acquisition of property and equipment. So that is why we are seeing this steep decline in the liquid cash and cash equivalent, but that is not something to be much bothered about, as it is sort of a capital expenditure, and in course of time it will start to pay off for the investment itself. Though the first quarter was in loss, I think Microsoft will be taking steps to not only bring a not only bring the Activision Blizzard in profit, but also to raise its profitability. Now let us go to the technical side of the story to see how the price of Microsoft shares have fluctuated in recent days, in recent months, and recent quarters. If you consider the short time pricing of the Microsoft, you will see that it has been continuously making higher highs and higher lows for a better part of last month. It started the year close to 360, and from there on, it kept rallying for the second half of the month and reached a fresh all-time high of 415. From there on, it has declined around 4 percentage point in last two trading sessions, and that is something which is have to be now considered while we are making a decision to decide on the future course of action. I think, given the prior bullish nature of the trajectory, it will be too early to say now that it has turned bearish. No, we can't really say that. We will have to allow it more time. I think if we wait for a couple of sessions, maybe a week, we will have a fairly good idea of how things are likely to shape up. And if it continues to hold close to US dollar 400 level, in course of time, we can even think about initiating the fresh long trade provided it consolidates with the bullish bias for next couple of days and doesn't really decline much. Maybe the price band of around 390 to 400 is going to be a crucial base for the performance of the Microsoft on the lower side. So after this decline from this higher side, it has to found buying support on the levels close to the prior swing low. And if it does that, then maybe in the short term, we can even think about initiating a fresh long with the expectation of the Microsoft stock touching the recent all-time high again. But for that, first we need the signs of stabilization, consolidation for at least a week, close to this immediate support zone of around 400. And from there on, as and when it starts to rally again, we can think about getting involved and going for a long trade from the short-term perspective. Now, let us see how things are for the medium term. For the medium term, the momentum has been bullish since the October 2023, where it made a low of around 310, and from there on, it went on to rally 30 percentage point in last 2 to 3 months, and now after having rallied this much, it has started to see some correction, but it is more of a profit booking than the sentiments turning wholesale negative. So I think there is still room for us to bet on the continuation of this bullish tendency in the Microsoft. Only thing which we will have to keep in mind that here also we need to give it enough time for the consolidation, and then we can go for the trade on the long side after having seen it consolidate and find support closer to or above the prior swing low of 370 to 380. So for next couple of weeks, if it doesn't really decline much and continues to find support closer to the prior swing low, we can indeed go for a long trade, as it is too early to say that the rally has lost its steam and whether we should be looking out at the shorting. I think we will have to wait for that, and as long as the initial momentum has not changed fully, we will do well to sit on the sidelines, allow it to consolidate, and after due consolidation, as the thing starts to look sunny again on the north side, we can initiate the long trade. But here also we will have to adopt a wait and watch approach at the time for the time being. And the long term is not much different here also. The Microsoft, after having gotten its breakout close to 360 levels, has continued to rally, and the only thing which we can say is that now we are a bit late for the long-term investment in the Microsoft at the current price level. That was that opportunity was there couple of quarters back, but now we will have to wait, and only thing which we can use for profiting in this ongoing rally is to utilize lower time frames, as that will curtail our risk while opening up the possibility of profiting from this long-term bullish momentum. So see how things shape up in the short run and the medium run, and there the opportunity is likely to be better in terms of the risk reward. The long term is also bullish, but only thing is now at this current juncture the risk reward ratio doesn't work out favorably. So we will have to wait and go with the flow, not short it at the current time current price level, but not to go long either, and wait for further consolidation before you think about initiating a new trade. So the major focus for next couple of weeks is going to remain on the price action on the lower time frame and the medium time frame, and eventually we will get a good idea of how things are likely to pan out for the long term as well. So that's all from my side for today's session of Daily Stock, where we consider the share price performance of the Microsoft along with its quarterly report, which is pointing to the rosy scenario for the Microsoft as it has seen robust revenue growth along with quite good net income level. Now it's time for me to sign off. If you have found this video, this webinar useful and interactive, you can write to me the feedback. You can subscribe to the channel and let me know what you feel about the Microsoft. We can have a good chat. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous time ahead. See you next time around with equally interesting stock to work with. Till then.